Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. Julian here for another really important pre-season episode. Hopefully you've been liking my content so far, and if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. Hitting that button down below would really appreciate it. About 50% of you guys that watch the channel, and often even more than that, are still not subscribed. So I really would appreciate you guys subscribing to this channel and helping me grow this channel. Thank you so much, guys. And if you do want to take that support to the next level, I do have a Patreon. The link is down below in the description. And you could also join on YouTube and you unlock some perks like early access videos. And if you join my Patreon, you also get the DM with me one-on-one. Ask me any fantasy hockey related questions that you have. All right. The content today, guys, is the goalie depth chart. And why is that important? Well, every single offseason, it seems, there is an absolute goalie carousel. Goalies change teams, and it's so hard to keep track of. So in this video, we're going to be going through every single team and their number 1, 2, and 3 goalies. So you know who to draft, who their number 1 goalie is, and then you know who the streamer is for the second goalie, and if somebody gets injured, you know who the third string goalie is to stream him as well. I'm going to try to go through them fairly quickly, not waste too much time on any particular team because 32 teams does take a lot of time to go through. So I'm going to try to make this as quick and as painless as possible. We're going to be going alphabetically. So we're going to start with the Anaheim Ducks. And in Anaheim, the starter this year is probably going to be Lukas Dostal. He was amazing last year with 23 wins in 49 games and wasn't necessarily really expected to be the starter last year. I kind of projected it, but Gibson was still the number 1 guy at the beginning of the year. He just, as usual, dealt with a lot of injuries, so Dostal really got a lot of opportunities with 49 starts. This year, he should get probably at least 50 starts again, with a pretty good backup in Peter Mrazek. So if he starts to slip up, Mrazek definitely could take over some starts, but I do believe fully in Lukas Dostal. As a third-string goalie, they have Ville Husso. In Boston, there's no change here. Jeremy Swayman is their number 1 goalie, with Jonas Korpisalo as their number 2. And Michael DiPietro as their number 3. Pretty much exactly the same as last year. In Buffalo, a little change here. Luukkonen is still their number 1 goalie, or as I like to call him, 6K. And he had a bit of a subpar season last year, but I expect him to bounce back a little bit. Alex Lyon is now their backup goalie, and Devin Levi remains their third-string goalie, although if he does really impress in preseason, he could end up taking that number 2 spot. In Calgary, no surprise here. The prodigy Dustin Wolf had such an amazing rookie season last year. He is the number 1 goalie. And Ivan Prosvetov, who's coming back to the NHL from the KHL, is going to be their backup goalie. I actually always liked Ivan Prosvetov a lot, so I was kind of sad when he left for the KHL, but he had a great season last year in the KHL, and he's ready to prove himself once again on the NHL level. So I like him as a second goalie. And then their number 3 goalie is Devin Cooley. In Carolina, Frederik Andersen and Peter Kochetkov are going to be that 1A, 1B type tandem. They're probably going to split games almost exactly evenly at 41 apiece. That's if Andersen can stay healthy. Hopefully he finally does this year. That would be great. But they're definitely not going to give him more than half the games just because he is an injury risk always. So maybe they give him a little bit more than half the games, but not much more than that. Then their number 3 goalie is Caden Primo. And number 4 goalie is Yaniv Peretz. In Chicago, Spencer Knight is the guy over there. And if Laurent Brossoit is healthy this year, I can see him as the backup in Chicago. I think he's supposed to be healthy this year, so he's definitely going to compete for that backup job with Arvid Soderblom, and I believe Laurent Brossoit is a significantly better goalie than Arvid Soderblom, so I do think he gets that spot. In Colorado, Mackenzie Blackwood showed how good he can be last year, so he's definitely going to get a lot of starts in Colorado this year. They love to just ride their starting goalies except for the back-to-backs, and that's where Wedgwood would come in to get his starts. And number 3 goalie is Trent Miner. In Columbus, Elvis Merzlikins is still the starter in my eyes for now, but Jet Greaves is a very talented goalie, and if Merzlikins doesn't play well to start the year, Jet Greaves could easily take over as that number 1 goalie early on in the season, and the number 3 goalie is Zach Sawchenko. In Dallas, there's really no change here. Jake Ottinger is the number 1 goalie, Casey DeSmith the number 2 goalie, and Remy Poirier is the number 3. In Detroit, they did trade for John Gibson, so their number 1 goalie now is John Gibson, but I do believe he's going to split starts fairly evenly with Cam Talbot, their number 2 goalie. It's going to be a 1A, 1B type situation in all likelihood. And Gibson is pretty injury prone, so I do actually think Cam Talbot may end up getting more starts than Gibson by the end of the year. And their number 3 goalie is Sebastian Cossa. In Edmonton, Stuart Skinner is still their number 1 goalie. Calvin Picker is still their number 2 goalie. And right now, Matt Tompkins is their number 3 goalie. If they do end up signing Carter Hart or any changes at all happen from this video, I will post them in a comment down below. In Florida, Sergei Bobrovsky remains their number 1 goalie, and he's going to have himself another great year this year. Daniil Tarasov from the Columbus Blue Jackets comes over to Florida and is now their backup, and Brandon Bussi is their number 3. In Los Angeles, Darcy Kemper had a phenomenal bounce-back season last year. He's their number 1. Anton Forsberg is a very, very good backup goalie. He's their number 2. And Phoenix Copley remains their number 3. In Minnesota, Philip Gustafsson had another great bounce-back season last year. Love to see it. He's the number 1. Jesper Wallstedt's the number 2. And Cal Peterson is the number 3. In Montreal, Samuel Montembeault remains the number 1 goalie. Jakub Dobeš is the number 2 goalie. And Kaapo Kähkönen is the number 3. Although that will be a little bit of a battle for the number 2 spot. But I do believe it will end up going to Dobeš. In Nashville, UC Saros is the number 1 goalie. Had an offseason last year, and the whole team of Nashville really had an offseason last year. I fully believe in Saros. I love the guy. His jersey is right here behind me. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's going to bounce back this year. Justus Annunen remains the number 2 over there, and Magnus Krona is number 3, with Matt Murray being the number 4 goalie. No, not the Stanley Cup winning Matt Murray. He's not on Nashville. There's another goalie named Matt Murray as their number 4. In New Jersey, Jacob Markstrom is still their number 1 goalie. Jake Allen is still their number 2. And Nico Daws is still their number 3. So no change there. In New York, Ilya Sorokin is still their number 1 goalie and is probably going to get 60 starts once again this year. I have Semyon Varlamov as their number 2 goalie, but that really depends on his health. At the moment, and at the end of last season, he was injured. So if he's healthy and good to go, yeah, he probably slots in as that number 2. But I haven't heard a clean bill of health just yet. If that's the case, David Rittich is their number 2 goalie. And their number 3 or 4 goalie, depending on Varlamov's health, is Marcus Hogberg, who has some NHL experience. For the New York Rangers, Igor Shesterkin is their number 1 goalie. No question there. Jonathan Quick remains their number 2. And their number 3 this season is Dylan Garand. In Ottawa, Linus Ullmark remains their number 1. Levi Merilainen was really impressive last year when some goalies were injured in Ottawa. He's now their number 2. Mad Sogard is their number 3. And Hunter Shepard, who has some experience in the NHL with Washington, is their number 4. In Philadelphia, I think Urson is still the number 1 goalie this year, although the goalie situation in Philadelphia is still super foggy. Vladar was signed there, so he definitely could step up and end up starting the most starts. Fedotov is still there, and Kolosov is still there. The 3 guys, Fedotov, Kolosov, and Urson, were all playing in the NHL last season, and none of them were really that great. So it's going to be interesting to see the situation develop over there, but I would give the edge to Urson for now. Tristan Jarry is still the number 1 in Pittsburgh, although if Seelovs plays well, I can see him easily becoming the starter pretty quickly in the season, because Jarry is probably going to choke as he usually does. And their number 3 goalie is Joel Blomqvist. In San Jose, Yaroslav Askarov is the number 1 goalie this year. He's finally going to get his chance to shine. And obviously, they don't have to burn him too much because Alexander Nedeljkovic is a pretty competent backup goalie. So they don't have to give Askarov like 60 starts. They could maybe give him 45 to 50, maybe 55 if he's really playing well starts, and give the rest to Nedeljkovic. The number 3 goalie is Georgi Romanov, and their number 4 goalie is Jakub Skarek. Both Romanov and Skarek have NHL experience, and whichever one is playing better in the AHL is the one that probably gets called up if there's an injury. In Seattle, no surprise here, Joey Dacord's number 1, Grubauer's number 2, and the Stanley Cup winning Matt Murray is their number 3 goalie. So pretty good third stringer there in Seattle. In St. Louis, no change here. Jordan Binnington's their number 1, Joel Hofer's their number 2, and Colton Ellis is their number 3. In Tampa Bay, really not much of a change. Vasilevsky is the number 1, Jonas Johansson is the number 2, and Brandon Halverson is their number 3 goalie. In Toronto, Anthony Stolar is one of my favorite goalies in the league. Was so underrated for so many years, and I kept saying that on my videos, and finally he's really been showcasing how good he can be. And if he can stay healthy this year, he's easily the number 1 goalie for Toronto, with Joseph Woll being a very, very competent backup, and Dennis Hildeby being a good number 3 goalie. In Utah, it's a little bit of an interesting case. Karel Vejmelka is slated to be the starter over there. Last year, Connor Ingram was also a decent goalie, and he has been a very good goalie for the past few years. but he is in the player assistance program. And if he remains there, well, he's obviously not going to be a backup or even a third string because he can't play until he's out of the program. Now, they did go and sign Vitek Vanacek, so that leads me to believe that Ingram may not be ready for at least the first little bit of the season. So Vanacek is going to be your number 2 goalie, and Matt Villalta is going to be your number 3. Obviously, if Ingram gets a clean bill of health, he's going to slot in as the number 2 goalie in Utah. For Vancouver, Thatcher Demko is the number 1, and Lankinen is the number 2, just like the end of last season. But if Demko starts to, not play well again, Lankinen is probably going to get more starts than him. But again, Demko's a phenomenal goalie. He was only playing subpar last year because he came back from an injury. And, it takes time to get into the groove of things. I do think Demko has a very nice bounce back season. He's one of the best goalies in the NHL. The number 3 goalie is Nikita Tolopilo, and number 4 is Jiri Patera. In Vegas, Aiden Hill is the number 1 goalie. And Samsonov is no longer there, so Akira Schmid, who was their number 3 last year, is their number 2, and Carl Lindbaum is their number 3. In Washington, Logan Thompson remains their number 1 goalie, had a phenomenal year last year, should hopefully make Team Canada for the Olympics. Charlie Lindgren is their number 2 goalie, also very competent, and Clay Stevenson is their number 3. In Winnipeg, same as last year, Connor Hellebuyck number 1, Eric Comrie number 2, and Dom DiVincentis at number 3. And that is all the teams, guys. So if you have any questions about any of these goalies, please leave a comment down below. And I'm going to try to get to all the comments that I can, because I want to make sure that you guys all have the best understanding of the goalie depth charts and how each goalie is likely going to do this year in fantasy. Don't worry, I will release my top 25 fantasy goalies video in a couple weeks. Until then, guys, we're going to continue dropping 4 videos every single week, guys, so stay tuned for plenty of fantasy hockey content. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.